Okay, welcome everyone. This is another episode of Hasler Talks. Today, we're going to talk about pets, pet industry. So, we have a specialist here to help us understand how pet would work. Heidi,
Hi there.
what's up?
Thanks for having me in.
My pleasure. Before we start our conversation today, I want to ask you to introduce yourself and tell me more about you.
Sure. As far as a pet person goes,
Mm-hmm.
it's always been there since I was very, very small.
Yeah.
My mom would find me out in the yard and I'd be holding handfuls of bumblebees
Mhm.
or holding a chipmunk, or birds would land in my hair. It was just always in the mix. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of kids are like, oh, I'm going to grow up and be a veterinarian. And then life takes you on
Yeah.
other routes. And I'm glad that I found my way back to it.
Okay. Where you come from?
I'm a Cape Cod native, so I was
Really?
born and raised here,
Mhm.
and we were homeschooled for first few years. So we had a house in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
so we'd go back and forth. And I went to school in New Hampshire and ended up back on the Cape.
Where exactly in the Cape?
I'm in Orleans now.
Mm-hmm.
My family has, I think I'm 13th generation Wellfleet native,
Oh,
so they go way, way back.
okay. So, high school you did here?
High school was in New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and yeah, both my parents went to Nauset, and then they sent me to school in New Hampshire. I feel like I got gypped out on my birthright, but it's good to be back.
What
I
about
still-
what about college?
very short amount of time in college in New Hampshire, unrelated to pet care,
Mm-hmm.
and just dove right into work instead.
Okay, but did you finish your college?
Nope.
Why not?
Life had other plans at the time,
Mhm.
and once I started working, it was more hands-on experience in other fields, really all over. I did a lot of administrative work. I was a cigar rep for a while, and just kind of jumped into whatever the job was and learned by doing, and eventually led me back here. I've always been a caregiver by nature, and
Mhm.
so when I came back to the Cape, housing is impossible, as I'm sure you know, and so I would live with people to help take care of them. And so I had housing, and I stayed with a lot of elderly people, working with MS patients, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, 6 hospice cases, as their full-time caregiver. And so I had housing, they had live-in help, and pet care was always kind of on the side since
Mhm.
high school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's talk about your business. What's your company name?
It's Nauset Posset. It's very cute.
Who choose that name?
I did,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have a partner in that business?
Just me,
That's you?
just me.
I'm an employee.
I have myself, obviously, very, very full time. I have one full time woman who's been with me a long time, and then I have 2 other contractors who work for me part time.
Okay. How much you spend to start the business?
Startup costs were minimal. The biggest risk was leaving elder care, which meant leaving my housing. So to do pet care full time, I stayed with an ex for a while until I was able to find a rental, and then finding a very pet friendly rental adds its own challenge. But once I made the commitment to go into it, we really took off. And because it's a mobile business right now, the thought starting out was maybe having a location and making it like a drop-off doggy daycare. But that was right when COVID hit and the cost of living, tripled, skyrocketed. So finding a property that I could afford was non-existent. So I'd done all the first-time homebuyer courses. I was ready to buy a place, and then all the prices went up, and that just was not a possibility anymore. So working from home, working out of my home, and then going to other people's homes, making it a mobile business, kept my startup costs very low and let me build up my client roster.
Okay. So did you start your business before or after COVID?
It was right after COVID started that I went full-time with pet care. I already had a number of pet care clients who I helped on the side. But full-time was after COVID when I made the choice to leave in-home elder care work.
Okay. But you never get any financial loan to I
No financial loan, just a huge leap of faith. And those first few clients that gave me a ton of business to get me started really made it possible. And then very quickly, it was just word of mouth referrals. I'm endorsed by some local veterinarians who have known me since I was a little girl. And just having the consistency in my reputation got me a lot of referrals. So my client base grew very quickly. And Cape Cod is a very pet dense community. There's so many dog lovers here. You know, you go to town, you'll see as many dogs as you see people, and they all want the best for their animals.
Okay, tell me some challenge that you face when you started, and until now you still have some challenge. Okay, tell me something about your challenge to run your business.
For sure, having the guts to go out on your own is a challenge on its own, and really the housing and having a location was a huge challenge initially. Finding a company that would offer insurance, so getting myself insured. A lot of people don't want to get involved with anything to do with animals. And then I've got myself certified, and my whole team is certified, you know, pet first aid, CPR, what can go wrong, preparing for that, and then finding reliable help as the business grew is a challenge. Someone who wants to treat it like it means as much to them as it means to me. This is very personal. This is, you know, these are living beings that we're in charge of. So there's a lot at stake. And once I found, you know, my first long-term helper, then I felt like I had some support. That was probably the biggest thing is, you know, having good people around you.
Okay. You offer daycare, boarding, and dog walking, exactly.
Yeah, full service. So we go into people's homes and walk their dogs. We stay in their homes and do overnight sitting. We do a lot of house calls, you know, feed the cat or give an insulin shot. And then I do mobile daycare. So I go with my personal vehicle, pick up the dog, take them out for the day, do all kinds of wonderful things, bring them home. And then I board overnight in my home as well.
What's that mobile daycare exactly? Is it like a big van? You have like a...
I actually have a pretty small vehicle, but you'd be amazed. And I limit it as the difference between if you were going to drop your dog off at a big doggy daycare, it might be 60 dogs in a backyard with a couple of employees. That's not how I run things. It's a lot smaller, attention to detail, giving those dogs the sense of security. I'm their pack leader. They know each other. All my regulars become good friends. So when I arrive in the morning and I pick everyone up, they're like ecstatic at the door and their tails are shaking, and you know, they jump in and off we go, and we can walk neighborhoods, walk in the woods, take them to the beach.
What time you started?
I'm sorry?
What time you start your job?
Early. I'm usually up 5:30 or 6, and this morning I picked up a dog at 7:30. Some people have like, oh, our house cleaners are going to be there at 7. Can you get really early? It depends. Everything is very much catered to the client.
Summertime and wintertime, which one is better?
Summertime, running a mobile business is murder. Trying to get around in summer traffic on Cape Cod is brutal.
Yeah, I know.
It's very dangerous. We have near-death experiences all the time just trying to get from job to job. My team members have called me shaking, crying on the side of the road because they almost just got T-boned. There's a lot of really dangerous areas and a lot of out-of-state plates that they're distracted. They don't know where they're going. They can't use a rotary. It makes it hard getting around in summer. So the spring and the fall and the winter are a lot more relaxed for us, but we are busy all year round.
Okay. How do you ensure that dog they're happy and socialize with each other?
Socializing is part of the service we offer, and thankfully there's a huge push towards rescue dogs, and a lot of people take dogs from other situations when they might have formerly been in an abuse situation, or they have a lot of anxiety. Dogs that were born during COVID that were never socialized because their parents never socialized, giving them a chance to get their confidence up. And I don't just throw a bunch of dogs together. It's very mindfully done, and keeping them safe, happy, and comfortable to let them socialize, I have to be pack leader.
Yeah.
So they look to me, they know that I'm in charge. I give them the reassurance that I got you, this is okay.
Is it like a training, something like that? Give a command, something like that?
It's more behavioral observation, which is really how dogs learn from us and learn from each other. So if they see my dog happy to see me sitting calmly, waiting for a treat or a command or a reward, whether that's my attention or it's going for a walk, they watch him and say, oh, okay, I'm just going to sit here and I'm wait. And okay, this is great. When they see the other dogs that, getting ready to play or learning how to, play with toys safely and not resource guard, they really learn a lot from each other. So introducing a new dog into an established couple of dogs who already know each other, it's reassuring for the new dog to watch them play. Some of them really, even coming from states where they've never seen the ocean before, and now they're a Cape Cod dog, introducing them to water. I give them swim lessons if
Really?
that's part of it. I take them paddleboarding. That's probably our biggest bonding exercise that I can offer them, is getting multiple dogs on the paddleboard together. And they all learn how to balance, and we all start breathing in sync, and we come back to shore and they're very zen. I take them out on the pond. It's very calm. But giving them the chance to get their confidence up, to calm down, and we do a lot of energy work with the dogs in that direction. Dogs are very receptive. They're like little sponges. So if I'm calm and I'm confident, it's going to give them the message that they don't have to be worried or anxious. If I'm a nervous wreck, they're going to say, oh crap, something's wrong. Which is why a lot of anxious dogs have anxious owners, and very calm people have very calm, grounded, unbothered pets.
How do you deal with that for them? When you take care of them, they can relax, but when they go home, you'll face the problem again. So
we get that question a lot when I'm sending pictures and videos to the owner of their dogs very calm and relaxed and settled and practicing good behavior. And then they say, how come my dog's like that with you? And then they come home and they're a nut job. And a lot of time that's the learned behavior at home, or the energy at home. If the owner is nervous, or, are you okay? Is something wrong? Is something wrong? Are you nervous? Are you going to be afraid if I leave? Dog's like, oh, should I be afraid if you're leaving? Crap.
You feel the energy.
Versus just everything is fine. You're good. When I walk in the house, my dog will kind of wag his tail and he'll look up at me, but he's going to be calm on the bed. I can put down my keys, put down my water bottle, take off my shoes, and then I walk over to him, and then I can give him his love and his greeting and his happiness. Where a lot of people walk in and they're like, did you miss me? Are you happy? Did you miss me? Did you miss me while I was gone? Is everybody happy to see me? And the dog's like, and he freaks out and he's jumping all over you. He's ripping the groceries out of your hands. Like, you don't do that. You set the tone and they learn from you.
So how do you talk with their owner to change their behavior so they don't get mad when you talk to them?
Right. And we say that, like, we rehab the dog and we train the owner. And I give them the exact same example, just like I told you. And they go, oh, yeah, you're right. I do that when I come home. Ew, you're right. Yeah, I do. If you're calm, they have a much better chance of being calm. So helping them recognize, oh, these are some of my things I didn't realize that I was projecting onto my dog. And we have a lot of success. A lot of dogs have really come a long way, and their owners have come a long way. Or thinking that, I want you to watch my dog, but he can't be around other dogs because he's really nervous and he doesn't like them. And I said, let me get to know your dog, earn your dog's trust. And it might take a few months, it might take a year. And after a while, my dog is a really sweet older spaniel. He's a great ambassador of friendship. He's a wonderful first friend for a lot of dogs who are otherwise dog reactive. And you try it out slowly, and you introduce in a neutral space, and next thing you know, they're playing, and then they're excited to see each other, and then you introduce him to one of his friends, and you gradually build up. And then some of these dogs who would lose their mind if they saw a dog a year ago are now excited to jump in the car with 4 of their friends and go for a pack walk. And the owners are encouraged by that as well, and then they can relax, and then they feel more comfortable that they can travel. They can take a day trip, they can go out to dinner, knowing that their dog's okay, where a lot of them are just paralyzed with fear and, wouldn't leave their dog alone.
Okay. So what about the dog abuse? We have a lot of cases of dog abuse at Cape Cod.
Not so much on Cape Cod, but a lot of dogs that end up here from other abuse situations.
What kind of abuse situations are?
A lot of dogs that I can think of, some of the rescue dogs that I work with currently might have been found emaciated, tied up in a backyard, abandoned, or they come up and they're just covered with scars. those dogs, it's so hard because you don't know what they've been through. There are certain dogs that they have been in a loving home for 10 years, but they came from an abuse situation. And as soon as you pick up a broom to sweep the floor, they run and hide under the couch because they think you're going to beat them with it.
Yeah.
That it's just so deeply ingrained in them. And that's where a lot of the Reiki comes in, honestly, helping them with using the energy work to help them calm down and do that calming, healing work on a deep emotional level to earn their trust, to help them find reassurance and know that you're safe now, you're safe when you're with me. And it's wonderful to see them transform and to come out of that.
Oh, what's a wake therapy exactly?
So
what's the benefit?
Reiki is wonderful. That's actually how I met Molly, my full-timer, was going through Reiki training about 8 years ago.
Where?
It was an extension of like a adult NOSIT education program in Orleans. And we saw each other and the universe was like, you're going to be friends now. You're welcome. And she did elder care with me for a bunch of jobs. And she's an amazing team member to have with me, a huge support. And as an empathetic person, you feel the emotions of the people around you. Reiki was this like magnet that pulled me toward it, and I needed to learn more. And in the simplest way I can explain it, it's love with intention. And just like, this because I know that you train hard, your thoughts have power. Your intentions have power. The messages that you send to yourself will affect your body. The difference between saying I have cancer versus I'm recovering from cancer. Your cells in your body are going to feel the difference.
Yeah.
So it's the intention of your thoughts and your energy with love sent to another living thing. And we're all connected. We're all just molecules. We're all little cells of water and energy. And it all comes down to what's in your mind. So if a child falls down and scrapes its knee and it's crying and mama says, I'm going to kiss your knee and you're going to feel better, ready? And she gives the kid a kiss and he starts laughing.
Exactly.
That's Reiki. You're sobbing and inconsolable and someone you love and trust gives you a hug and you can just feel how much they love you and how much they mean it. And you feel your sadness start to relieve.
Yeah.
That's Reiki. It's love with intention. So when you are helping an animal or a person, I certainly use this in elder care, and especially a lot of dementia patients, Alzheimer's patients, when they start to lose the ability to communicate verbally, you need to communicate with them in other ways. And to learn when they're looking at you, are you cold? Are you hungry? Do you want your purple sweater? I've got you. And you start to learn how to communicate with them in other ways. So animals are the same way. And dogs were at such a disadvantage during COVID when our faces were covered and they can't read our face expressions and they're trying to read what emotion are you projecting to me. So now that most of us are much more comfortable and we're open and we're talking again, we can communicate with these dogs a lot better. But a nonverbal, what is going on with you? Where is your pain? You can scan the body and you can feel, my hands might get hot if I'm like, oh, you've got arthritis in your hip today. And you can send love to that area. You can send intention and energy to that area. You can help them calm down. I know there's fireworks outside, but you're going to be fine. And you put the hand on the chest and you're going to sleep like a baby tonight because I've got you and nothing is going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And a little while later, that dog is just curled up and sleeping through. And the owners text the next morning, I heard you guys had thunderstorms. How did he do? I said, he was perfectly fine. Here's a picture. Here's a video. Your dog is totally all right. Wow. And it's very powerful. And a lot of children have really strong instincts. A lot of children might see that they'll pick up on things. And then as we grow up, society tells us to block those things. That's crazy. You didn't see that. No. And you're like, oh, and you start to question yourself. Animals weren't taught those blocks, so they're wide open to your energy. That's why if you're sad, they're going to know it. If you're happy, they're going to know it.
Yeah.
If my grandmother cries, my dog will run in the room and jump on her lap and start licking her cheek. And she's like, what does he want? I said, you're crying. He feels that, or if she's animated and she's raising her voice and he runs in the other room to hide, she's like, what's wrong with him? I said, well, you're screaming. Like, they feel our emotions so strongly, which is why my last point about, if you're calm, they'll be calm. They feel those things. So if I set intentions and I say, we're all going to go on a great walk and everyone's going to behave themselves and we're going to do all of our business and we're going to sniff and we're going to have a wonderful doggy time. They feel the message. I talk to them like they can understand my words because they can understand my intention.
Okay. What kind of animal can apply the therapy? Just a dog?
No, I don't think there's any limit to that. And I, aside from my pet care business on the Cape, I also have the wonderful opportunity, and so I volunteer to transport zoo animals around the country. And one of my clients here is a transporter. Has become a dear friend, one of my favorite humans, and a fantastic mentor for me. And he's worked all over, mostly southern states, running zoos, parks, sanctuaries, working with a lot of incredible animals, alligators, large snakes, and then every zoo animal you can think of. So when he transports those animals around the country for various reasons, I have the opportunity to go and volunteer to do a lot of comfort care with those animals during transport. Transporting is one of the most stressful things they can go through, and they can get sick from stress just like we can. So the first trip he invited me on, we were moving Siamang gibbons, or it's a medium-sized monkey.
Yeah.
And a lot of zoos will swap like female monkeys of the same variety for healthy breeding. So then this family can keep breeding with new genetics added, etc. And we got to the first zoo for pickup, and he said, don't wear earrings, put your hair back, keep your face away from the crate. It took 5 humans to get that monkey into the crate. Just do your thing, but don't get too close. And within 10 minutes, I had the monkey calm down. It was in the crate, calm down. I'm talking to it. I'm doing Reiki. We're connecting. And by the time they had finished paperwork and they walked around the van, I'm hand feeding it tomatoes. It's reached its hand through the crate. It's just holding onto my finger. And they're so sentient. They're so feeling.
They feel it, yeah.
They feel it. And I kind of turned around. I'm like, this is amazing. Oh my God, this monkey's beautiful. And he's like, that zoo owner has never touched that animal.
Yeah.
That does not happen. They would not voluntarily reach out and hold the finger of a human for comfort.
Yeah.
And he continued. It happened with 4 different monkeys from 4 different zoos. And he's like, you are welcome on any trip ever. And so they feel it, certainly. People joke because I've helped him wrangle a 10.5-foot alligator. Yes, I did Reiki with the alligator.
Really?
And
how?
Just jump in and do it. Just go for it.
Jump where?
I show up and get out of the van, and people think I'm there to take pictures, and then I'm in the enclosure, and we're roping, and I'm on the back, and we're taping the mouth and all that stuff, and I've got my hands over the eyes, and I'm sending it calmness. And after a heavy workout, all the lactic acid builds up in your muscles. When that happens to alligators, it can actually kill them. So keeping him calm and sending him all the Reiki in my body, stay calm, buddy. We got you. It's okay. We're going to take you to a beautiful park. It absolutely works. And I've translated 2 weeks ago. We got a mother and baby kangaroo out of North Carolina and brought them safely to Ohio. I've got the baby kangaroo in a pouch around my neck. We're doing Reiki for 2 days, helping it connect with the mother at night so that it can nurse again, calming her down. I'm not going to hurt your baby. Your baby is just fine. Helping them so that the baby can continue to nurse. So everyone gets there safely. We've moved sloths. We just moved a bunch of animals. Every single one of them has been receptive.
Okay, what about snake? I saw your page with some snake.
I love snakes.
Oh, really?
I have pet snakes. I think they're fantastic. And when I'm handling them, I'm absolutely giving them love and Reiki.
A lot of people, they don't like snake. They have a misconception about snake.
Hey.
So why you love that?
I think they're fascinating. It's one of those, I think they're so beautifully constructed. There are no mistakes in how a snake is able to move without legs. That science and engineers have tried to replicate the way a snake moves. And they still can't figure out the level of perfection. I think they're just such a marvel of the natural world. And I've always loved them, yeah. Okay. And forever as a child, I was always bringing in snakes, frogs, turtles, mice, salamanders, whatever I could find. And God love my mom was like, okay, let's put that in a box and look it up in the encyclopedia and figure out if it eats, fruit or bugs. That's a great find. Let's put a lid on that box.
They are not a poison snake. Right?
I don't handle venomous snakes. I think it's irresponsible. That's just me. I think they have every right to exist in the world, but I don't need them as a pet, and I don't need to handle them.
I can difference it's a poison or there's not. I
will let my experts guide me on that. But we have moved some snakes. We were moving enormous alligators out of Laredo, Texas, and we ended up picking up another one of the animals that they needed transport. It was like a 12-foot albino Burmese, and I was just like, just let me hold it, just let me hold it. And it was beautiful, just a gorgeous snake. If my rental was larger, I would have more snakes, for sure.
Okay. Another thing that you do too is animal rescue.
So that's part of it, sure. The same transporter will let me know if he hears a lot of rescue dogs come up from southern states. And last year and a half ago, we had heard about a bulldog puppy that had a suspected eyelid issue. And the breeder was like, well, you're not perfect and we're not going to keep you, so we're just going to put you down.
Yeah.
11 weeks old. And I said, bring up the puppy. I had a couple families in mind who I knew loved bulldogs, and I thought I'd have him about a week and I'd find a placement for him. I had him 6 months. And turns out his eyelid was fine, but he had brachiocephalic syndrome, which happens with a lot of dogs with the smushed in face, like pugs or Frenchies. And so they can't breathe. And it's a man-made problem. And they breathe them and their snouts get shorter and shorter and shorter. So they have no nasal passages, their patellas are way too long. And a lot of them stroke out at a young age because they can't breathe. It's oxygen deprivation. So I use the opportunity to draw awareness to, if you're gonna go through a breeder, make sure your breeder is practicing responsible practices. And ended up having this little puppy who was very special needs for all this time, got him socialized, got him potty trained, had his medication, all of the things, and ended up crowdfunding. We used GoFundMe to raise about $10,000 to get him through this corrective surgery. Wow. And then one of my existing pet care clients who had a previous special needs dog ended up adopting him. And I'm still his nanny. So when they travel, I still take care of him. Chonky. He's a good boy. And he's now 53 pounds of solid muscle. And he's thriving, and they think he's the most perfect dog, and he loves them. He landed very well. So rescues like that, helping place these dogs where they need to go, or someone will reach out and say, can you foster temporarily and then find a new home? I try to do that as much as possible.
Do you have any fun story with the rescue animal you want to share?
Sure. This is pertinent. So again, same transporter, had worked with African sulcata tortoises, which get enormous, hundreds of pounds, and they live hundreds of years. And when they're hatchlings, they're like the size of an Oreo cookie. They're tiny, and they're extremely vulnerable. And he had one, there was 3 of them that were not expected to survive. And he said, these probably won't make it. I don't want you to get your hopes up. Don't name it, don't get attached. If you want the experience of rehabbing an animal, you want to try. I said, absolutely. So before he got to me, 2 out of the 3 had already died. And he gave me this one little tiny tortoise. And we were going on a transport through cold states, and they can't get cold. So the warmest place in the van was in my shirt. And so I had this little tortoise, the size of a little Oreo, like wrapped up in a tissue in my bra for about 2.5 days, keeping him warm, sending him Reiki, giving him heartbeat therapy, which they feel, and encouraging him to take even the tiniest little bite of lettuce, encouraging, can you drink, can you do anything? And my grandmother calls it magical titty time, because after 3 days, he comes out and he's energized, he has an appetite, he starts eating. And gradually, this tiny little morsel of a tortoise starts growing. And by Christmas, it seemed like he was out of the woods. And last year, he celebrated his first birthday. He's about the size of a grapefruit. He's solid, strong, hysterical. He's so much personality. He's got a nice tank in my living room. And he's doing just fine. If all goes well, he will by far outlive me. So I'm his foster mom, and I'll place him in a sanctuary in a southern state where it's warm enough for him to grow when I can't keep him anymore. But we do what we can. And if that means holding him, dear to my heart, then that's what it took. But that's what got him through those first few days.
Mm-hmm. Okay, pets with special need, how do you deal with that? Is the same thing like regular pets, or you have extra care?
Absolutely extra care. Getting ourselves trained and certified to handle all of the what could go wrong scenarios helps. I encourage other pet owners to take those courses, because you really can't imagine how many things could go wrong. And then you take the class and you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed now. But with a special needs pet, whether they're deaf, blind, they have stomach problems, anxiety, they might be missing a leg, any type of, you guide them. We've worked with, dogs that went blind and they had aggression problems because then they just lost this major sense of direction, and re-earning their trust, helping them orient around a situation. A deaf dog is not going to hear you when you call it. So if it's walking towards the road, the common sense things. And there's a lot of pets that need, medication or special handling. Some dogs that really want to go on a walk, but you end up carrying them. A lot of older dogs have hip dysplasia. So like maybe they can't hold up the back end of their body. You can use a sling and hold up their back legs so that they can still go on the walk. And help them.
How do you work with a blind dog?
Blind dogs will, just like blind humans, will have a sharper use of their other senses. A blind dog can walk you around their neighborhood just like another dog, because they know the smell of every step you take. They know when to turn right, when to turn left. They know exactly where they are. So keeping them from like walking into sticks and bushes and things that they can't see and smell right in front of them. But
what about deaf dog? They can hear.
Very similar. We keep them on leash, but letting them still, they're going to feel, you can put your hand on them. You can still communicate in other ways. A lot of deaf dogs, you can use, sign language and give commands. I did that with my dog when we were doing elder care. He'd work with me, and if our client was asleep, I could give him his commands to come and, lay down, move off the bed, back up, come forward, go to sleep. And nonverbal commands, they really adapt beautifully. My grandmother had a 3-legged cat who could climb up a tree, catch animals. They're really resilient.
Okay. So pet industry is a $1 billion business.
It is.
Why?
Pets make us happy, and they're cute. And the world is a scary, dark place. And I think people want things that bring them joy and bring them comfort. People also think the celebrity pet industry, people want attention.
Yeah.
And especially in the age of social media, like we joked earlier, that people will have maybe an Instagram account for their pet. Nothing wrong with that. You're just proud of them. You're happy and it brings you joy.
Right, we don't need that, right? Instagram account, Facebook account for dog.
I mean, do we need any of it? It connects us in a world where we're very spread apart. But I think any opportunity to bring joy into the world has a ripple effect. And I do think there is incredible value to that. So on my Instagram, I post a lot of uplifting content. Dogs are smiling, they're cute, they're on the paddle board, they're rolling over, they're playing fetch. So whatever the thing is, they're being super cute, they're sitting pretty, they're waiting for their treat, they're all getting along, there's 7 of them asleep in a big pile. Whatever the thing is, people want to see things that help them heal another part of them that might be sad or anxious or worried. There's a lot of bad things happening. We have so much of the world's problems coming at us from every angle. If you can take a moment of, well, there's an otter, washing its face, or like whatever the cute thing is. That's why pet videos online are so popular, because it releases serotonin, it gives you dopamine, it brings those chemicals into your brain that we all want more of. And that's why, if I see a dog, I'm on the floor under the table, I'm in the back of the party. Where did Heidi go? And is there a dog? That's where I am. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it does go a little bit extreme with the money that we spend sometimes on things that could be deemed silly or unnecessary when there are so many other needs for very real things. That's not for me to judge. I try to do the best that I can at providing the service that I provide. And making it make sense for me financially to do that. I'm very grateful that the industry is what it is, that people care enough about their pets. The way that I got my housing now is my current neighbor had brought me in. She has a special needs dog. She said, I've researched every pet care option on Cape Cod, and I've decided it should be you. And we interviewed and interacted with her dog, and she said, yep, it's definitely got to be you. And I think you should live next door. And that's how I got my rental, and I take care of most of the dogs in the neighborhood. But pets unite us. If you're walking your dog and you see another person with a dog, in most cases, you're going to smile right away and you have something in common. And, oh, he's cute. Oh, she's beautiful. Can they say hi? It's a conversation starter. It's a way to connect. And I think most of us are craving connection.
Okay. Young couple, they don't want kids anymore. Instead of that, they want a pet. What do you think about that?
I'm one of them. I knew from a young age I wasn't going to get married and I wasn't going to have children. And I'm happily...
You don't want a kid?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm
What's the reason behind that? We have any reason?
That's a whole other podcast. Yeah. And I'm fine with that. And it's not that pets are a substitute for children.
Yeah.
I knew that I wasn't going to have children, and the pets came afterward. So my snakes, my tortoise, my dog, those are all adopted animals. I get my fix working with animals all the time, and that's great. That brings a lot of joy and value to my life. I'm a caregiver by nature. I'm an empath by nature. Elder care was very intrinsically rewarding work, but it was very depleting, whereas my work with animals gives back to me. They recharge me and keep me going. That lets me care for more of them. That lets me do what I do longer.
Okay. How much family spend with the dog? Your case, you have two or one?
I have one dog.
How much you spend with that monthly? The food, everything?
Probably quite a bit. I don't think I've added it up because I spend so much on the other dogs as well. My dog will be 10 in February, and most people, most vets think he's 3 or 4. So I think the quality of the life and, his food, his supplements, his exercise routine, that all goes into their quality of life and how long they live, how long we have them. And, I want the best for him at all times. So the money does trickle in. There's a lot of memes about that. I work this hard so my dog can have a good life. I think it's worth it as long as it's done responsibly. Okay. I can pay my own bills, sure.
Yeah. Well, what about health insurance?
My insurance, I was lucky to find.
For dog, health insurance. Yeah.
Yep. So I got him insured as soon as I adopted him as a puppy. And that's be a little less than $100 a month.
Okay.
For a pet insurance. And it's for the emergency stuff. If he broke a leg or if he needed surgery, that's when it would be a huge saver.
Okay. Tell me some mistake that people make with the pets. You can see day by day.
Right. Some of it we touched on, just projecting a lot of their own problems onto their pet. The pet will absorb it. So I think that's probably one that we most often encounter. Or when you see a problem and then you just pull them back from everything. Well, he reacted to that one dog, so he shouldn't socialize at all. It's like, no. Or, he's struggling with stairs, so we're not going to have him walk anymore. It's like, no, it's the same thing like if your grandmother, had a surgery, get her back walking again. When you don't use it, you lose it. Like, keep your dog healthy, keep them going, keep them active. Keep them lean. A lot of people give way too many treats, and then that affects the heart health, just like, obesity is a problem with humans. But paying attention, spending time with them. Okay.
So, do you love your job?
I love my job. I love what I do. And when I worked in office jobs, I was good at my job, but I was miserable, and I was making me sick. I got very sick. That's how I eventually landed this way. I had a nice job before I moved back to the Cape, and had all these autoimmune issues. And, the building, we were in an old mill building. A lot of people started getting sick from sitting in the office. I had other stuff going on. We have ticks and Lyme disease. I had all these other things that were just flooding my body with infections and symptoms and pain. And I went through a lengthy diagnostic process and exploratory surgeries and chemotherapy and medication. And I was more sick than I'd ever been. And the state of Massachusetts said, well, you're disabled and you have to be on medication for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And everything in my body was screaming, no, this is not the path for me. I do not accept this. And fired my doctors, weaned myself off the medication, started reading every book I could get my hands on. John Kabat-Zinn, books on meditation, books on health, alternative healing. And when I made the choice, I'm going to start working again, what do I want to do for work? I said, well, I want to be outside and I want to work with animals. And this was old school, so I put an ad on Craigslist, and I got a pet care client. And 13 years later, they're dropping her off on Wednesday, and I'm still taking care of that dog.
Wow.
So I guess the entrepreneur in me would say that's great client retention, but the empath knows that those are connections that I made. I love that family. They trust me. Raised that dog. When that dog had puppies, took care of those puppies. It's a beautiful cycle. It's an honor to do that. And, we have so many clients and so many animals now that we work with, and it's opened this opportunity that I wouldn't have otherwise. The surprising part of the job for me that has become just as rewarding is sharing the abundance of the industry with my team members. So when they're able to pay their bills because I brought in a bunch of clients and they can go to as many jobs as they need, I need to put new tires on my car, or this just happened, or this just happened. I said, okay, well, I have this extra work. Do you want it? Yes, please. And when I do, payroll at the end of every week, that's one of my proudest moments, is knowing that as a team, I'm playing a role in that aspect of the community as well.
Sure. Well done. What's the best and the worst thing about your job?
The best thing, it keeps me healthy in all of the ways. It keeps me active. It keeps my mind at work. My body's moving. My soul is joyful. I'm able to do a lot of wonderful, rewarding things with my life because of this business. And hardest part is it's actually also rewarding, but it's very demanding. With any business, if you're going to really jump in with that entrepreneurial hustle and grind, I don't own a television. I don't like electronics around me, and I can't turn my phone off. That's hard. The amount of administrative time that I spend on my phone doing scheduling and invoice and answering calls, texts, Instagram messages, voicemails, emails, schedule requests, job requests, new clients coming in. The amount of time on my phone is hard, and that part of the business is tough, but I've made that choice. And there's a quote I'll paraphrase, that entrepreneurs are the crazy people that will work 100 hours for themselves so they don't have to work 40 hours for someone else. And I'm okay with that. I've made peace with that. It has been a problem in most relationships. Can't you just take one day off and spend it with me? Well, if my phone rings, I need to answer it, but shoot, and that part is tough. I work every holiday because that's when people need pet care every holiday. So I haven't spent a Thanksgiving or a Christmas just, off the clock with my family in years. That doesn't happen. I'll see them outside of it, but those type of sacrifices, it is demanding. And you have to be ready to do that. But I'm also proud of the fact that I do that. And, on a busy day or on a holiday, the Cape is a peninsula. You have to drive around. I'm going to put 100 miles a day on my car. Sometimes just getting between maybe 4 towns, just back and forth between different jobs. It really requires a lot.
Okay. People say that you are one of the best pet care Cape Cod. What's your secret? it's not a secret anymore because we have to
Right.
say.
Here it is. You heard it here, folks.
What's your secret?
A term that I use
Yeah.
often is that it's a very heart-centered approach, in that, yes, I will charge what I need to charge, but I'm not doing this for the money. And your pet will have my full attention. And they see the proof is in that when they see the way their dog greets me, when their dog gets to know me, how happy they are. If I'm boarding a dog for a few days or a week and the owner comes home and they get back together with their dog and they say, my dog is so happy. My dog is calm. My dog isn't jumping on the counters, frantic at the windows. It's not peeing in the corner. Like, what did you do with my dog? I said, well, I loved the hell out of it for the whole week, and they're under the covers, asleep on my pillow. There's no kennels, there's no crates. They are part of my pack when they are with me, and that comes through. And so when the owners can recognize, you've actually helped change my dog, my cat is more social, whatever the thing is, that I think puts me, in edge up. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just, okay, how many dogs can I possibly, cram into this and just, make money. I want to do it the right way, and I want each dog to know that they are loved and they are safe and they are cared for. And that's part of why I have extremely high standards for my team, is making sure that they're also bringing that energy.
Okay. It's very hard to run a business. How do you deal with financial issues, marketing issues, look for new customer, call a customer? How do you deal with that? Do you have somebody to help you with all this task?
It is currently just me doing all of that, and that's
bank account is a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. Tax season is always a big headache.
Exactly.
All of that for sure. In terms of I haven't had to advertise because I'm actually turning away business. We are waitlisted for several months. My personal calendar is booked out about a year and a half. And I have as much business as I can handle right now. And because I don't want to overextend myself on the administrative side of managing all the schedules for all the team members, I'm not expanding at the moment. If I had a location, I probably would consider it. But right now, as a mobile business, I like quality control, like drinking small batch whiskey. I know what's going on because I paid attention to all these details, and I can keep it this small, handwritten Christmas cards for every client. Like, I want to do this the personal way, and that sets me apart. So I don't want to just grow and expand and then lose that personal connection. So when a client calls me, they're calling me on my personal number, and I'm going to answer and talk to them. I don't want to lose connection with that. Some would say control, but this is my name. This is my reputation.
Exactly.
This is very personal to me, and I'm okay with that. There are definite sacrifices that have to be made, but that's the Capricorn side of me that doesn't mind it.
Sure.
My German grandmother ran rental cottages for 47 years. I learned a lot of hard work from her. Cooking, gardening, you're up at 4 a.m, you do what you got to do, you're up late, check-ins, all those things. She planted a lot of seeds for me. It took me to my first yoga class, got me reading, got me cooking, a lot of great things that I then took the ball and ran. And when I'm really working my tail off, a lot of people will say, you're a lot like your grandmother, and I'm proud of that. The balance is where I probably struggle, and I'm getting better, and that's where my team comes in. Having my team, right? Yeah, it's still worth it, and having I have my team members are covering jobs, so I can be here talking to you right now. We're round the clock. It's always happening. I have 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs in my bed every night. It takes a lot to do that every single day. I will go many months without a day off, and I'm able to do that because I love what I do.
Sure. Okay. What's your plan for the future?
It depends. We have an election coming up that depends somewhat on that. Massachusetts is pretty strict with a lot of permitting and regulations when it comes to non-domestic animals. So if I wanted to work with monkeys and alligators and kangaroos,
Yeah.
I would need to leave the state.
Where Florida?
Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio. There's a lot of other states where the climate works and the federal regulations allows you to open a sanctuary, and they kind of let you do your thing as long as you're doing a good job. So it would be heartbreaking for me to leave the Cape, because this is my home, this is my community, and this is where my roots are. I know that I'm serving these people and making a difference. So I'm not sure. I can see myself staying, and if I was able to find a property with enough space, land, zoning permission to, foster, rescue, have a daycare, still do boarding, I'm very open to that. We'll see what happens.
Okay. So before we end our conversation today, I'm gonna ask you a couple things. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, goodness. Oh, sushi, Mexican, probably the top of the list any day of the week. Thai food.
You still have a mom and dad?
Do I live with them?
No, if you still have it.
Yes, my father's estranged from the family, but my mom lives in New Hampshire, and they visit when she comes down. Spent some time with her, or we'll go camping. And my grandmother lives in Eastham, so she's still on the Cape.
Okay, what's the best advice you get for your mom?
From my mom, I'm not sure. Grandma is full of adages. She is rattling off quotes all the time. I think when I was young and thought the world was out to get me, she would say, "Suck it up, buttercup." And that made me tough. And then later, her words of wisdom, which I use now as a business owner, where to prevent myself from getting really taken advantage of, it says, "Lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part." And when people call me with last minute requests, sometimes it's an emergency and life happens, but to make sure that I'm not overextending myself and then becoming resentful. I never want to feel that way about this job. So the power of saying no and using that instinct, using that gut, it's never wrong.
Say no when you have to say no, yes when you have to say yes.
Right, and if it's not a hell yes, it needs to be a hell no.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have trouble with that. Say yes when they say no, no when they say yes. Okay, so when you die, everybody will die one day.
Of course.
When you die, how you want to your community, family, friend remember you?
I think probably with 7 dogs on a leash and a monkey on my shoulder and a kangaroo in a pouch and a turtle on my other shoulder. I think most people who know me associate me with dogs and animals so strongly. I'm usually smiling. I'm usually taking care of something. And I think that's beautiful. I think if I could inspire people to send a handwritten card and to give a hug like you mean it, and to really own who you are and not be shy from that, I think that's a beautiful legacy.
Okay. What advice do you have for people who want to start their own business?
In the pet care industry or in general?
General.
I would say...
Because it's not easy to start a business, you know that.
If it's a hobby, treat it like a hobby. If it's a business, treat it like a business.
Okay. All right. So I want to just thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience.
Thank you.
I hope you can come here again and talk.
I would love to.
About another topic. Why not?
I would be glad to. Thank you. This is great. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Thank you.
Okay.